If you have decided that this is a year you're going to get healthy, you're going to start exercising more, you're going to start eating cleaner, you're going to start developing better habits because you're going to get in shape, you're going to lose weight, you're going to look good, then you do not want to move to Georgia. So if you're thinking about moving to Georgia, I'm going to give you the top 10 reasons of why you should not move here, or at least 10 facts that you really need to strongly consider if you're thinking about moving to Georgia. What's up, y'all? I'm Rip the Realtor, and my channel is all about moving to Atlanta and Georgia. So if you're thinking about moving this way, reach out, a call. I'd love to offer my help, my advice, my insight, whatever you may need. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So without further ado, let's jump right on in. So number one reason that you may not want to move to Georgia is guns. Now, I don't want to be controversial and bring this out, but to really hammer down my point. So, in all seriousness though, you've probably figured out this is not a real gun. But in all seriousness, if you're not comfortable with guns, Georgia may not be the place for you. Now, I'm not making any kind of opinion or political statement. I'm just stating facts that in Georgia, culturally, if you grow up in Georgia, if you grow up in the South, guns aren't really a big deal. A lot of people in Georgia carry guns. They have their carrying permit. There's a lot of hunters who will drive around with their guns on the back windshield of their trucks. I myself, at age 10, my father was teaching me gun safety and going and shooting guns in the pasture for fun or whatever. But the thing is, guns are pretty prevalent in Georgia. So if you're not comfortable around them, or at least being okay with knowing there are a lot of guns that are carried in Georgia, Georgia may not be the spot for you. The number two reason of why you may not want to move to Georgia is you're not going to be skinny. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a few things. We love fried foods in Georgia. We'll fry about anything. We even figure out how to put macaroni and cheese in bites and fry those. So we've got great cooking. It's delicious, but oftentimes it's not healthy. We even, if you go by drink stations, you may see two big containers of drinks. One's going to say unsweet. One's going to say regular. Regular here means sweet tea. So there's a lot of delicious foods. There's a lot of pastries as far as apple pies, peach cobbler, and again, fried foods. We're going to have all those things. So staying skinny, staying healthy is going to take a little extra effort than it might take in other parts of the country. Number three reason why you may not want to move to Georgia is our summers. Now, here's the thing. When I say summer, that's really about half the year. We pretty much have two seasons in Georgia. We've got summer and we've got fall. There's really no winter. If it gets 40 degrees in Georgia, we're freezing and we're trying to avoid going outside at all times. There's not much of a spring. It just turns right from, it really goes fall straight into summer. It gets hot here, stays hot for a long time. It's getting really hot in Georgia around the end of April, and that's going to last sometimes all the way up to Thanksgiving. I know last year taking my kids trick-or-treating at Halloween, we were sweating bullets. It was so hot out. So get used to the hot summers at Georgia and know that there's not really four distinct seasons going on down here. In fact, the summers can get so hot and humid here, some might think that Georgia's state bird is the mosquito, because we get a lot of those. In fact, there's all kinds of businesses that will pop up that are just mosquito folks. All their business is coming out fogging for mosquitoes to give you relief for 2-3 months. So mosquitoes are big. That comes with our summers. You just got to use the money to get your yard fogged and get rid of those mosquitoes. But they love that humid weather, and we get a lot of humidity here in Georgia. But here is the great thing about summers is we spend a lot more time outdoors year round. So we can spend several months on the lakes here. There's a lot of lake sports to do in Georgia. We do a lot of hiking in the Georgia mountains, a lot of swimming in rivers. So there's tons of stuff to do because of the long summers. They may be long, but it also allows us to get outside longer and to spend more time doing outdoor activities that we love to do. you. The fourth reason is our pollen. So we've got a lot of Georgia pines here. Pine trees, they're big, they're beautiful, but they also put off a lot of pollen. So if you already have severe allergies and you're not around pollen, Georgia may not be the place for you. It can trigger a lot of people's allergies. People are having to stay on some of their allergy medicine. Once you're down here for a while, it may not bother you as much. Pollen doesn't bother me. I don't have allergies. They don't act up, but other folks do. On the flip side, it's also because we've got beautiful landscape here. We've got a lot of greenery, a lot of evergreens. Like I said, the big, beautiful pine trees. So it's great outdoors, but it comes with a price, and it's that pollen. Fifth reason you may want to strongly consider if you're moving to Georgia is if you're not comfortable with getting in a fist fight at a youth football game, Georgia may not be the place for you. Now, I'm really joking with that. You don't have to get in fist fights at youth football games, but I'm a youth football coach. I've been coaching my son since he was 8. He's in the 8th grade now. I'm coaching him still. But football down here in the South, especially Georgia, is serious. Now, you might be thinking, oh yeah, Atlanta Falcons, Georgia Bulldogs. But it's even more serious at the youth and high school level. People get heated during football games. Little kids' football games, a bad call is made. A coach is making some bad offensive calls. You're going to hear it from the parents. They get riled up. Now, I coach in the GFL, the Gwinnett Football League, and it's the second or third largest tackle football league in the nation. It's one of the top youth football leagues that produce D1 athletes. So people get really serious about their football. So if you think that's ridiculous and you want no part of that, Georgia may not be the place. On the flip side, there's a lot of fun-spirited, high competition opportunities for kids when it comes to sports, especially football. There's tons of opportunities for them. There's a lot of training facilities for them. A lot of college scouts will seek out people in the Georgia area because Georgia now this past year was the top producing state for NFL athletes. But again, football in Georgia, we don't play around. Sixth reason you want to consider when moving to Georgia that may deter you is you need to learn a new language. If you're not open to learning new languages, Georgia may not be the place for that. What do I mean by that? I've grown up in Georgia all my life, all right? There's some people who tell me, man, you really have a strong Southern accent. And then there's some people who tell me they can't even hear my Southern accent. That's probably the people from Georgia who say they can't hear my Southern accent. And the people who tell me I have a strong Southern accent are from outside of Georgia. But you have to learn different words and what they mean. We put contractions, different words together to make new contractions. Obviously, there's if you're one person, it's you. If it's two people, it's y'all. If it's three people, it's all y'all. So another great example of the contractions we put together, I've already explained. You and all is y'all. Are and not is ain't. And y'all and ain't is yanked. All right. If that's confusing, let me use that in a sentence. There's a group of people going out, then they decide to change their mind. And I might say to them, oh, you ain't going to the movies anymore? You're welcome. We're also known for Southern hospitality and our manners and how nice we are and how good we are. We also have our outs, ways to get around and being so nice, but still coming across as nice. One of those great examples is bless your heart. All right. So I'll give you another example. As long as you say, bless your heart before the next statement, you can pretty much say whatever you want about that person. Like, oh, Jennifer, bless her heart. She's so sweet, but she's just a... Another thing you need to know when it comes to communicating in the South and specifically Georgia, Atlanta is the basis for Coke. That is their headquarters. That's where they started. And so everything here is a Coke. In other words, you might go out to a restaurant and the server comes up and goes, hey, what would y'all like to drink? Did you hear that? What would y'all like to drink? And you might say something like, oh, let me get a Coke. And she may reply, okay, what kind? Sprite. We call everything a Coke. I think I need to pick up a Coke. What do you want to get? Probably a Diet Coke. Coke is all soft drinks in the South. We just have to be specific which kind of Coke we want. Number 7 reason you may not want to move to Georgia is rednecks. Now, let me be clear on something. Most people hear the term redneck and they just think of negative connotations. But just like any other people group, there's good rednecks and there's bad rednecks. all it is they're just really country folk, and they have a really country way of doing things. So in Georgia, there's a lot of rural areas. Now, that's also the great part of Georgia, is you can find places that don't feel congested, don't feel overcrowded. You can go out, you can find land and have your home sitting on land. You can live the whole Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn life where you're fishing in the stream on your property or catching frogs, or you might want to get dirt bikes, whatever. But that's a good thing about Georgia is we also have rural areas, and you're going to find gooderns. That's what we call them. G-O-O-D, probably U-R-N-S, gooderns. They're just country folk that are good people, but they're country, and so you got to get used to it. So if you're thinking about moving to Georgia, make sure you give me a call. I'd love to help you out and give you some ideas, but I'm not just stopping at 7. I told you I was going to give you 10 reasons why not to move to Georgia. So my next 3 reasons are going to be more specific to the metro Atlanta area. So number 8 reason why you really want to think about moving to Georgia is the lack of public transportation. So there's comparable cities like Chicago, New York, places like that have great public transportation systems. Now the difference is much of their public transportation was built like a subway, and then cities eventually developed on top. Atlanta, as you know, we have a history of Atlanta getting burned down, so we started fresh. So what happened is the city gets built up. Years later, we go, we need public transportation. So we try to run that in and out of already existing cities that are built. So the public transportation is not great. And more than likely, even if you're moving to the city of Atlanta, you're still going to need a car. It's hard to navigate, get to work, shop, all those other things without any type of car. Number 9, the reason you may not want to move to Georgia is it's expensive. Now, again, remember, we're talking primarily Atlanta metro area. There's an article that just came out in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution where the Georgia Housing has deemed Atlanta as officially an unaffordable place to live. Now, what does that mean exactly? It means that our home prices, the values continue to go up. Now, the good thing of that is we're not seeing dips. So if you buy now, even though it's expensive, it's going to get more expensive. So when you buy, you're going to have equity within just a couple of months, if not even quicker, because of the value of homes continually going up like crazy. And the 10th and final reason you may not want to move to Georgia is our traffic. We've got some pretty bad traffic. There's different times of the day. There's different parts of the interstates that you begin to learn. You start to learn, let's stay away from I-285 during these times. Let's not go 85 north during these times. And you start figuring out little workarounds, but really use those Google Maps and Waze, because sometimes you can't predict traffic. Just yesterday, I had a client I was supposed to meet with on a listing appointment. She had to cancel because she sat on 285 for 2.5 hours to go 7 miles. So the traffic here can get pretty nasty. So if you're not okay with trying to figure out workarounds with traffic, Georgia may not be the spot for you. But again, the reason there's traffic is because there's so many people who recognize that Metro Atlanta area is such a great place to be. So again, if you're thinking to move to Georgia, and even specifically the Metro Atlanta area, reach out, give me a call. Love to help you out. Love to give you some more insight, my opinions, work with a Georgia boy. I've been here for 46 years. I'm here for you. So y'all please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the video. Make sure they're nice comments, or if not, just remember to say bless his heart first. Then you can say whatever you want about the video. But love to help y'all out. Love you. Peace.